Something that's come up a couple times in the past and has just recently come up again is how strong are the threads that I use in some of the parts that I make. I typically only use a couple different sizes of threads, but I use a lot of M8 by 1.25. And the question that's come up is, does an M8 by 1.25 thread in a 1/4 inch aluminum have enough strength to not be pulled out? And the answer is, I don't know. I have no idea. So I'm going to do a test. I'm going to tap 6 holes, and I'm going to put a stud, a spacer, nut, all that. I'm going to rig it up so that I can put torque on it and see how much torque it takes to pull out these 1/4 inch, these threads in a 1/4 inch aluminum. This is 6061. So that's what we're going to try, and I'll settle that once and for all, and going forward I'll know just how strong these threads are for what I use them for. So here's a stud. It's got just enough threads on the short side to go all the way in. Yep, it's just poking out the bottom. Use that as a spacer. Start with something easy. 10 foot-pounds. Should be able to handle that with no problem. I think that was it. It's so low it hardly clicks. Actually, I have another torque wrench. I think this one's seen better days. Alright, this one's a little tighter. Alright, let me try something else. It might be down so low I can't hear it clicking. Feels awful tight. But it still hasn't pulled any threads out. Oh, look at that. Crush that washer though. I'm gonna have to stack a couple of those. Okay. Let's start with 20 foot-pounds. There we go. Alright, no problem. 30. Still holding tight. This is 40. I think we pulled it out. Let's see. Yeah, looks like it's starting to pull it out. Let's keep going and see what happens. Yeah, let's pull it all the way out. That's it. Alright, so 30's okay. 40's too much. Yep. Pulled it right out of there. Didn't do anything. There we go. Yeah, pulled them threads right out. Alright, so 30's okay. 40's too much. Try 30 again and then 35. So here's 30. No problem. 35. Yeah, we got it. Feels like it might be right on that edge though. 37. Huh. 38. I think it's pulling. It's turning too far for going up 1 foot-pound. This is 39. Back up to 40. Let's pull it and see if it pulled out any of those threads. No, it's still in there. So I could do 40 when I snuck up on it 1 foot-pound at a time. But not when I went from 35 to 40. That's weird. It should be the same no matter what. Let's try 45. Not that 35 foot-pounds wouldn't be enough for a bolt of this size. Okay, this is 45. Yeah, that's it. She's pulling. Yep. Yeah, she's pulling the threads out. So just based on those 2 holes, somewhere between 40 and 45 foot-pounds. Let's try another stud. Just for conversation's sake, when I went to get this stud, I looked up. I do a lot with the old air-cooled VWs. And the 8mm cylinder head studs, which on each side of the motor there's 8 bolts coming out that are 8mm that hold the heads on the motor. They're only torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. And that's holding the head onto a motor. So 18 foot-pounds. You know what, I'm going to get another nut too. 18 foot-pounds is significant for holding something together. I guess my point in saying that is, if this thing can safely hold 30 or even 25 or 20 foot-pounds, that should be enough for what I'm doing. So I guess now I'm just trying to see where the failure point is. Because it looks like it'll hold with no problem. Okay. So we're still at 45 foot-pounds. It's pulling something, but I don't know if it's the aluminum or the stud. It's crazy that that stud stripped before the aluminum did on this hole. I don't understand that. Yep, there it is. Pulling it right out. So it appears that the max safe torque somewhere in the 35 range. So in the interest of being safe, if I were to tell somebody 25 or 30, both of which are higher torques than used to hold the heads on to a Volkswagen motor, we should be safe. One last thing I'd like to try. These studs like most studs. I have a chamfered in. Now this was long enough to go through and have about a thread sticking through. But if it were to bottom out, like say this 1/4 inch plate was up against something and the threads couldn't poke through the bottom, then this partial thread right here would be at the bottom of the hole, reducing the number of threads in the hole. Also, I normally countersink my holes, thus removing a tiny amount of thread on each side. So I'm going to countersink these. We're going to bottom this out so it's just touching. And try it again. So here we are, countersunk. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3.5, maybe 4 threads. We'll put that through so it's not peeking out the bottom. So the max torque that I would be comfortable telling somebody at the moment is 35 foot-pounds, which is excessive, but there we are. So let's try this one at 35, making those few tweaks. See if it holds. 35 foot-pounds. Here we go. That seems like a weak click. I'm using the wrong torque wrench. Let's try this one. 30. Right there, 2, 2, 4, 5, 35. It's really hard to see. Alright, let's see what we have. I think we pulled it out. Those few threads make a difference. There it is. So I was going to try to push these out too in the shop press. But to be honest, I think this is giving us more accurate information. And I'm running out of holes. New stud. And a new nut. Just flush with the surface. Go down to 25. Work our way up to 30. Oh, that's not good. She pulled it right out. What the heck? But if you look down in the hole, you still see a thread and a half. Huh. Alright. Last hole. So them last few threads really do make a difference. Really do. Okay. Let's take it down to, what was I at? 20? Let's take it down to 15. Well, let's go all the way down to 10. See what happens. Alright, there's 10, which is almost no pressure. Here's 15. No problem. Here's 20. Let's go for it. 25. Holding 25, but that feels iffy. Feels like it's pulling. So, if the stud can go all the way through, full threads on the stud and on the hole, 30 to 35. If the stud has to bottom out in the hole, so, well actually that was without chamfering too, full threads. So maybe 30. If the stud bottoms out in the hole and you can't get this last little bit, then somewhere between 20 and 25, with 20 being safe. And just for reference again, the bolts on a cylinder head are 18 foot-pounds. So 20 should be enough to hold whatever has to be held. Yeah. Since this piece is going in the trash anyway, let's crank it up to 30 and see what happens. That's it. Just pulled out. It hit the torque and then pulled out. I couldn't get it to click twice. Okay. So 30 is definitely a no-go. 25 maybe, depending on the depth of your chamfer. I would say 20 is safe. Look how much thread you're losing at the bottom. There's a whole thread and a quarter because of the chamfer on the bottom of the stud. So I guess that makes sense. You only got 4 threads, maybe 4.5. So you take a whole thread and a half away, that's 25%. 20 to 25%. So, okay, well, good to know. Somebody asked, I think I'm just going to say 18. 18 to be safe. Which is still pretty good. Okay. Well, that's all I got for this experiment. If you're still here, thanks for watching.